Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Reed, and at 34 years old, I work as a barista at a bustling coffee shop in the heart of downtown Denver. With a constant hiss of espresso machines and the rich aroma of freshly ground beans fill my days with a rhythmic routine that often spills into my evenings. Married to Melanie for 7 years, we share a cozy two-story home in the suburbs with our 5-year-old daughter Ella, whose boundless energy and giggles once bridged the emotional gaps in our relationship. Though lately, I felt a growing distance between us, a quiet void that I approached with a tentative hope that small gestures and shared moments might rekindle the closeness we once had. The sharp vibration of Melanie's phone against the wooden side table in the living room cut through the peaceful hum of our evening like an unwelcome intruder, startling me from where I sat on the couch, absently flipping through a magazine about coffee roasting techniques. The pages slightly worn from repeated handling and carrying the faint, inky scent that mingled with the lingering warmth of the herbal tea I'd brewed earlier to unwind after a long shift. It was just after dinner, the dishes still stacked in the sink with remnants of pasta sauce clinging to the plates, their tomatoey aroma fading slowly in the kitchen air, illuminated by the soft overhead light that cast gentle shadows across the open-plan space. And as the phone buzzed again insistently, I glanced over, noticing how the screen lit up with a brief preview of a message before dimming, revealing only fragments, a name, Samuel, and what looked like an affectionate emoji that sent a subtle ripple of curiosity through me. Though I quickly dismissed it as work-related, my hands still bearing the subtle calluses from tamping espresso grounds all day. Melanie was upstairs at that moment, tucking Ella into bed, her voice drifting down the stairs in soft, melodic tones as she read a bedtime story, the words punctuated by Ella's occasional delighted squeals. And when she finally descended, her footsteps light and purposeful on the creaky wooden stairs that we'd meant to fix for months, she entered the room with her usual composed demeanor, her career-focused mind evident in the way she carried herself, shoulders straight, hair neatly pinned back. Yet there was a new avoidance in her eyes as she reached for the phone, her fingers curling around it with a swift, almost protective motion, tucking it into the pocket of her cardigan without checking the screen in front of me. She had always been the driven one, her job as a marketing manager at a downtown firm demanding late hours, poring over strategies and client pitches. Her avoidant personality surfacing in how she sidestepped deeper emotional discussions by diving into work anecdotes or changing the subject with a quick, efficient smile. And that night, as she settled into the armchair across from me, the fabric sighing softly under her weight, she mentioned offhandedly, her voice casual but with a slight hesitation as she crossed her legs, "I have a networking mixer with Fiona tomorrow evening. It's at that new lounge downtown, could run a bit late with all the industry chatter." The announcement came amid the ticking of the wall clock, its steady rhythm underscoring the normalcy of our routine. Yet I felt a faint twinge of unease as I observed the way her hand rested over her pocket, as if guarding the phone from accidental revelation. The room's cozy warmth from the radiator contrasting with the cool draft seeping in from the slightly ajar window, with a suburban night, lights twinkled faintly beyond the curtains. Ella's toys lay scattered on the rug between us, colorful blocks and stuffed animals bearing the faint scent of fabric softener from the last wash, reminders of the family life we'd built, and as I nodded in response, offering a hopeful comment about how it might lead to new opportunities for her, my mind wandered to the small changes I'd noticed lately. The phone always face down during meals, the quick silences when notifications arrived, rationalizing them as stress from her high-pressure job, yet internally questioning if my own long hours at the coffee shop, surrounded by the constant buzz of customers and the steam from frothing milk, had contributed to our emotional drift, leaving spaces where secrets could take root. As the evening progressed, I rose to prepare a late-night snack, the kitchen floor cool under my socked feet, the refrigerator humming softly as I pulled out cheese and crackers, arranging them on a plate with deliberate care, the sharp cheddar's tangy aroma cutting through the air, and Melanie joined me briefly, leaning against the counter with her arms crossed, her posture relaxed, her eyes occasionally flicking to her phone on the table. its silent presence like a third entity in the room. We chatted about mundane things. Ella's upcoming school event, the need to grocery shop for more of her favorite fruits. The conversation flowing in fits and starts, with pauses where she seemed distracted, her fingers tapping lightly on the countertop in a rhythm that betrayed underlying restlessness. And though I felt hopeful that a quiet night together might close the gap between us, a subtle detail stuck with me. The way she excused herself to the study to check one last email, closing the door behind her with a soft click, the sound echoing faintly in the hallway lit by a dim nightlight. Returning to the couch alone, the magazine forgotten in my lap, I stared at the flickering TV screen showing a muted nature documentary, the images of serene mountains reminding me of our honeymoon hikes in the Rockies, now feeling like echoes of closer time. And as the clock struck 9, a quiet doubt began to settle, like the gathering clouds outside promising snow, leaving me to ponder if this secrecy with her phone was merely a phase or the harbinger of deeper troubles lurking beneath our everyday facade. In this early stage, Aaron's emerging doubt illustrates the psychological theme of trust erosion in relationships, where subtle behavioral changes like Melanie's phone secrecy trigger initial emotional distancing. The first warning sign was already here, as his rationalizations, attributing it to work stress, exemplified denial as a coping mechanism to maintain hope and avoid conflict, common in emotionally distant partnerships. Interpersonally, her avoidant personality fosters a one-sided dynamic, where Aaron's hopeful gestures go unreciprocated, leading to internal anxiety and self-questioning about his role in the drift. This sets up consequences of betrayal, as unaddressed secrecy allows emotional voids to widen, potentially inviting external support. Psychologically, his observations of environmental details, scents, lights, reflect heightened vigilance, a precursor to relational strain that can erode self-esteem if prolonged. A typical mistake is to think that this is just a phase, delaying open communication and deepening isolation. Did he really not see the signs, or did he choose to ignore them? At what moment could everything still be stopped? The following mornings brought a subtle shift in the air of our home. The crisp Denver sunlight streaming through the bedroom windows in golden shafts that illuminated the dust motes dancing lazily, yet failed to dispel the growing tension I felt each time Melanie's phone chimed with incoming messages. Her reactions more guarded now, her hand reaching for it with a swiftness that contrasted the leisurely pace of our breakfast routine. With a scent of freshly brewed coffee, my specialty from work, filled the kitchen, mingling with the sweet aroma of Ella's oatmeal. At the coffee shop that day, amid the cacophony of grinding beans and steaming milk wands hissing like distant trains, I found my mind wandering during lulls between customers, the counters polished with smooth under my elbows as I wiped it down with a damp cloth smelling of sanitizer, replaying the previous night's evasiveness, her avoidant glance when I casually asked about the networking plans, her response a vague, just the usual crowd, delivered with a tight smile that didn't crinkle her eyes as it once did. Back home in the afternoon, as I prepared a simple lunch of sandwiches, the bread's fresh-baked scent wafting from the toaster, I noticed her on the patio, phone pressed to her ear, her voice carrying softly through the glass door in tones that sounded more personal than professional, gentle laughs interspersed with thoughtful pauses, her free hand gesturing as if emphasizing points to someone who truly listened, a dynamic that stirred a pang of frustration in me, wondering if our emotional distance had pushed her to seek that elsewhere. Hope surged briefly when she shared details about her day over dinner that evening. The table set with mismatched plates that clinked gently as we served portions of stir-fry, the vegetables sizzle from the pan, still echoing in my ears. But it ebbed as her phone buzzed under the napkin, her furtive glance and quick silencing of it with a thumb press amplifying my worry. Her excuse, spam call, coming with a delayed nod and a nervous adjustment of her fork, the metal scraping lightly against the ceramic. Internally, the struggle intensified, trust warring with suspicion as I recalled happier times, like weekend picnics in the park where Ella chased butterflies, the grass soft and earthy under our blankets, Yet now those memories clashed with the present small lies, my heart racing slightly during quiet moments alone. The living room's lamp casting a warm but isolating glow as I pondered if Samuel was the colleague she'd mentioned in passing, or something more. The name now, a recurring whisper. In my thoughts, a minor conflict arose when a friend from the coffee shop, Jerry, mentioned over a quick text seeing Melanie at a cafe midweek with a man, describing it casually, but it fueled my anxiety. The phone screened cold in my hand as I stared at the message, dismissing it outwardly as a business meeting, yet internally feeling the frustration build like steam in a pressure cooker. Evenings grew tenser, the suburban streetlights flickering on outside our windows, casting elongated shadows across the lawn dusted with early snow. And as Melanie prepared for her outing, applying makeup in the bathroom mirror with precise strokes, the scent of her foundation powdery and familiar, I observed her anxious gestures, the way she checked her phone repeatedly, her fingers trembling slightly as she typed responses, heightening my sense of betrayal without concrete proof. Moments where I almost confronted her but pulled back, clinging to belief in our bond. The emotional roller coaster peaked one night when she returned later than expected, her coat carrying the faint trace of unfamiliar cologne mixed with the city's rainy essence. Her evasive answers about the event laced with nervous behavior, sitting on the edge of the bed with her back to me, the mattress dipping under her weight, and in that calm external scene, my inner tension mounted, the hope fading into suspicion that propelled me toward seeking clarity, even as fear gripped my chest like the chill seeping through the window cracks. As suspicions escalate, Aaron's internal conflict highlights the interpersonal imbalance in avoidant career-focused dynamics, where Melanie's small lies and nervous gestures amplify his frustration, oscillating between hope and fear, a classic emotional high-low cycle in betrayal narratives. This phase underscores denial's limits, as sensory cues like unfamiliar cologne force confrontation with reality. Yet he clings to belief, illustrating attachment anxiety where trust fractures gradually. Consequences include growing distrust that isolates partners, fostering resentment. Her seeking external emotional support replaces the marital bond, a common outcome of unaddressed distance. Psychologically, his racing heart and vigilance signal stress responses, potentially leading to chronic anxiety if unresolved. Many people choose to remain silent at this point, and in vain, as it allows deception to entrench, hindering personal growth. Themes of trust betrayal emerge strongly, pushing Aaron toward agency despite the pain. Did his behavior push her toward this decision? Is this weakness or a conscious choice on her part? Is she a victim of circumstances or the author of the disaster? With suspicion now a constant companion, like the persistent aroma of coffee grounds that clung to my clothes after shifts, I started investigating more deliberately, my actions measured and cautious within the familiar confines of our home, pausing in hallways to listen for the soft pings of her phone, the device's notifications now muted, but visible in the way it lit up her face during evenings spent in the study, where the desk's cluttered surface held stacks of her work papers under the lamp's focused beam. One quiet afternoon, while Melanie was at the office and Ella napped upstairs, the house enveloped in a tense silence broken only by the distant tick of the grandfather clock in the foyer, I approached her charging phone on the kitchen island, its cord neatly coiled, and as I pretended to grab a snack from the nearby cabinet, the door creaking softly on its hinges, an incoming message preview flashed across the lock screen. "Can't wait to support you through this. Always here," from Samuel. The words sending a cold shiver down my spine despite the room's warmth from the afternoon sun filtering through the blinds, my breath pausing as moral qualms flooded me. Was this invasion justified, or was I eroding our trust further? Yet the pain of potential betrayal spurred me on, mixing with anger and disappointment in a turbulent internal monologue. Small victories came in piecing together patterns, like noting the times her work calls aligned with late afternoons when I'd be at the shop, frothing milk for lattes amid the chatter of patrons, their conversations a blur as my mind raced, But setbacks included red herrings, such as innocent work emails I glimpsed on her laptop during a shared moment. The screen's glow reflecting her avoidant expression as she quickly minimized windows. She began sensing my scrutiny, her mild defenses emerging during a dinner where the steam from hot soup rose in curls. Her voice even but with an edge as she said, "Why the questions? It's just networking." Her hands clasping the spoon tightly, knuckles paling slightly in the candlelight we'd lit for ambience. The investigation built cat-and-mouse tension, my slow movements, hesitant reaches for shared items near her phone, punctuated by nervous gestures, like my own shallow breathing when alone, the air heavy with unspoken doubts. An accidental encounter added drama. At the coffee shop one evening, as I wiped down tables slick with spilled sugar, the bell jingling above the door, I spotted Melanie across the street entering a cafe with a man matching Samuel's description from a quick social media glance. Tall, attentive, their tense conversation visible through the window, her gestures animated, though it could be professional, leaving me with mixed emotions. The setback of uncertainty fueling determination. The park climax during a family drive to the mountains, the car's heater whirring warmly against the snowy landscape outside, when her phone, left in the cup holder, lit up with another preview. "You're my emotional anchor now. Let's meet soon." The words undeniable, my grip on the wheel tightening, knuckles white as pain crashed over me, breath catching in the tense silence, hardening my resolve amid the disappointment. The accidental message discovery represents a critical psychological pivot, breaking through denial and exposing the moral dilemmas of investigation versus privacy, as Aaron navigates setbacks like red herrings that heighten tension. Emotionally, this evokes pain and anger, mixed with determination, reflecting betrayal's consequences on self-worth. Realizing he's been replaced emotionally can trigger identity crises in partnerships. Interpersonally, Melanie's avoidance enables the affair's growth, creating cat-and-mouse dynamics that erode mutual respect. Themes of personal growth begin as resolve supplants hope, empowering proactive steps amid turmoil. A typical mistake is to rationalize such evidence as platonic, prolonging emotional harm. Psychologically, sensory details, heater whir, grip tightening, amplify trauma, akin to betrayal stress disorder, where hypervigilance evolves into empowerment. This underscores trust fragility, especially in families, impacting children indirectly through parental strain. Did she lie to him or to herself? Is this physical cheating or emotional betrayal? Who is more responsible for what happened? The accumulation of evidence reached its peak on a stormy evening, rain pattering relentlessly against the windows like insistent accusations. When Melanie excused herself to the backyard for a quick call, the screen door creaking shut behind her, leaving her phone unattended on the side table amid the living room's cozy setup of scattered cushions and Ella's drawings pinned to the wall. Its screen unlocking briefly from a notification to reveal a thread of messages with Samuel, detailing her reliance on him for emotional support that once was mine. The words scrolling in dim light that cast eerie shadows, shattering my lingering illusions with a force that left me breathless, the room's candle flickering uncertainly in the draft. When she returned, droplets of rain glistening on her hair, her face flushed from the chill, I stood in the doorway, the floorboards groaning under my weight, and confronted her directly, my voice low and controlled despite the internal storm of rage and shock. "Melanie, who's Samuel, and why have you replaced me with him for support?" The question hanging in the heavy air, scented with wet earth from outside. A long pause ensuing as her eyes widened, her body freezing mid-step, hands clenching at her sides before she sighed deeply, her shoulders slumping in resignation. The dialogue unfolded intensely in the kitchen, under the pendant light's harsh glow that highlighted the tension in her face, brows furrowed, lips trembling, as she initially gaslight. "It's nothing serious, just someone to vent to about work." Her words short and defensive, pauses filled with the rain's rhythmic drum, her avoidant gaze shifting to the floor where crumbs from dinner lay scattered. Tears emerged as accusations flew, my emotional swings from despair to disappointment vocalized in halting phrases. How long has this been going on? Her response is manipulative at first. You were always distant with your shifts, but cracking into admission, the unexpected twist revealing it began as innocent chats at a conference, evolving into emotional infidelity where he filled the voids our distance created, another layer involving Fiona knowing but not intervening. Internally, I battled anger with composure, the struggle evident in my clenched jaw, understanding I could only steer my own actions forward, her panicking reactions, trembling hands reaching out, quiet sighs escaping, contrasting my growing resolve, the light falling on our faces heightening the cinematic drama as shock gave way to clarity, leaving me drained yet empowered in the aftermath. The storm outside mirroring my inner turmoil, now subsiding into quiet determination. The confrontation climax reveals Betrayal's raw emotional swings, rage to shock to resolve, highlighting themes of trust destruction in avoidant relationships, where Melanie's gaslighting and excuses expose long-simmering resentments from emotional distance. Psychologically, Erin's composure signals maturity, transitioning from victim to agent of change, while her panic indicates defensive coping, often rooted in guilt or fear of loss. Consequences include relational trauma, with the twist of innocent origins evolving into infidelity, underscoring how unmet needs lead to external bonds. Interpersonally, this shatters illusions, fostering growth through self-control recognition. Many people choose to remain silent at this point, and in vain, risking escalation. Emotionally, post-confrontation drain paves the way for clarity, mitigating long-term depression via catharsis. This event emphasizes personal empowerment, as understanding shared faults without absolution promotes healing. Can her actions be justified in this situation? Why didn't she leave earlier? Would you forgive in his place? The confrontation's ripples extended into the following weeks. Melanie's reaction, a mix of subdued avoidance and practical focus on logistics. Her career-driven mindset shifting to discussions about asset division and co-parenting schedules, conducted in hushed tones over coffee at the kitchen table. The brew's bitter steam rising between us like a barrier, while Ella's innocent questions about why mommy's sad. During playtime, tugged at my heart, her small hands grasping toys with the faint scent of crayons, amplifying the family impact that weighed on my conscience. Inner conflicts raged. Moral dilemmas about disrupting our daughter's stability, clashing with the need to escape the emotional void, regret for not addressing our distance sooner, mingling with relief in newfound clarity. Yet small victories emerged, like mediating sessions where agreements were reached without acrimony, my muscles relaxing during post-shift walks home, the cool evening air brushing my face, lightening the burden on my shoulders as confidence built. I made the choice for quiet separation, refusing to let the betrayal define or destroy me. The decision crystallized one morning as I signed initial papers in the study, the pen's ink flowing smoothly across the page amid the symbolic sunrise filtering through the window, warming my skin and calming my erratic heartbeat. Hints of resolution in the door, closing softly behind me as I stepped out for work. The first breath of fresh air crisp and invigorating. Deciding on separation marks a pivotal shift toward personal growth, where Erin confronts inner conflicts like regret and moral dilemmas about family impact, yet finds relief in clarity, countering betrayal's consequences through boundary setting. Psychologically, physical sensations, calming heart, fresh air, symbolize emotional release, aligning with grief stages, acceptance fostering resilience against isolation. Interpersonally, minimal dialogues emphasize victory over vengeance, addressing Melanie's avoidance without perpetuating control cycles. Themes of empowerment shine as small victories build confidence, transforming distance into independence. A typical mistake is to linger in regret, but his resolve highlights self-efficacy's role in recovery. Emotionally, This mitigates betrayal's ripple effects on Ella, promoting healthier co-parenting. Overall, it illustrates how betrayal catalyzes change, turning pain into strength. Is trust even possible after this? At what moment could everything still be stopped? Did his behavior push her toward this decision? Minimal but powerful dialogues with Melanie underscored this. We both deserve better paths. Her nod resigned, the tension easing into mutual acceptance. My body feeling a lightness as I embraced the freedom from unspoken resentments, reflecting on past complacencies and future possibilities with a controlled resolve. The quiet separation formalized through mediated agreements established clear boundaries, allowing me to relocate to a modest apartment closer to the coffee shop, its windows overlooking the bustling streets where morning light streamed in golden hues, illuminating my new routines like early jogs along snowy paths, crunch of frost underfoot symbolizing fresh starts, and evenings spent experimenting with coffee blends at home. The grinders were a comforting soundtrack to solitary reflections. Independence fostered confidence, free from avoidant dynamics, as I rekindled hobbies like photography, capturing Denver's mountain vistas with a lens that focused my perspective and built friendships with shop regulars. Their conversations over steaming mugs bringing simple joys without manipulation, the air filled with laughter and the rich scent of espresso. Reflections deepened on lessons learned, the betrayal stemming from our unaddressed emotional distance, teaching the importance of open communication and self-reliance, personal growth transforming hope into wisdom, bitterness fading into strength as I co-parented Ella peacefully, her visits filled with park outings where sunlight dappled the grass, her giggles a reminder of enduring bonds. Closure came with catharsis, a calm satisfaction in my empowered solitude. The final emotional hook a slight hope for genuine connections ahead, the journey underscoring psychological insights. Betrayal's pain catalyzes growth when met with resolve, leaving me with inner peace amid life's simple rhythms. Throughout the narrative, Aaron's journey from emotional distance and hope to empowerment encapsulates betrayal's psychological arc, emphasizing trust erosion through denial, the devastating consequences of emotional infidelity in avoidant dynamics, and ultimate personal growth via resolve. Key themes reveal how unaddressed voids invite replacement, leading to interpersonal fractures that affect families. Yet confrontation and separation foster wisdom and self-reliance. Emotionally, the story highlights resilience. Initial vigilance evolves into cathartic clarity, reducing long-term trauma. Interpersonally, it warns against silence, as rationalizations prolong suffering, while agency reclaims control. Ultimately, this tale offers catharsis, underscoring betrayal as a catalyst for inner strength and hopeful renewal, prompting reflection on relational vigilance.